Today, all your fruit questions answered. I'm Susan Bowerman, registered dietitian, and I'm here with Jan from the production team. Hi, Jan.
Hi.
I brought Jan in to help me answer some of the most common questions about fruit. You know, I talk to people about their diets all the time, and I think that there are probably more misconceptions about fruit than anything else. So you probably have a question or two about fruit, so let's talk about it.
I do. One of the biggest things that I wonder about is the amount of sugar in fruit.
Okay.
Is that something that you should limit?
You know, I think that's probably one of the main questions I get about fruits. People say, oh, fruit's all sugar, I shouldn't eat it. And clearly fruit is more than just sugar. That's the first thing I want to just point out, is that fruit has vitamins, it has minerals, it has phytochemicals in it has fiber in it. And the other thing is that the amount of sugar that you eat when you're eating fresh fruit is vastly less than what you eat when you think about eating a pastry or a cake, which of course doesn't have all those additional nutrients in it. So I want people to really understand that yes, that when you are eating fruit, you are eating natural fruit sugar. It's called fructose. It's there. It gives the fruit its delicious flavor. But the total amount of sugar that you're getting when you're eating a piece of fruit is actually relatively small. So if you were to eat something like a grapefruit or an orange, you might get about 15 grams of natural sugar that's in there. That's really not that much. And when you think about it, that orange, that grapefruit is giving you vitamin C, and it's giving you potassium, and it's giving you fiber, and it's giving you fluid, and all kinds of other important nutrients. So I don't want you to ever think that fruit is simply sugar, because it's so much more in a really, really healthy package. Okay?
All right, great. And you mentioned the grapefruit. Now, is a whole grapefruit one serving, or is half of a grapefruit?
That's another good question. So sometimes people are confused about portion sizes. I think to be just kind of logical about it, I think in most cases, if you think about what an average serving should be, so I don't think people should get too hung up, for instance, on the size of an apple. You know, an average apple, a medium apple, we'll call that a serving. A medium orange is a serving. Generally speaking, we'd probably call a grapefruit, a half a grapefruit is what most people would eat at a sitting. But a whole grapefruit only has about 80 calories. So, you could eat the whole thing in a sitting and not take in a huge number of calories either.
Okay, great. Now, if I wanted, let's say, to eat half of a banana or put half a banana in my shake, how can I store the other half without it going bad?
Okay, so that's another good question. So obviously when you've cut into the banana, you've got that cut end and it's open, so you want to cover that up. The easiest thing to do is just take a little plastic wrap and just wrap it around the end of the banana. It's probably fine just on the kitchen counter because that's where you want to store your bananas most of the time. If you notice it's like attracting fruit flies or something, go ahead and put it in the refrigerator. It's fine. Bananas will turn brown in the refrigerator, but it doesn't affect the quality. It doesn't look very attractive, but it's only brown on the outside. The inside of your banana will still be fresh and look fine.
Oh,
so
perfect.
Go ahead and do that.
And you leave it in the skin and then put the wrap around it.
Yeah, so if I'm going to do half, I'll just cut the whole thing right through the skin and then just put a little plastic wrap on the end and you're good to go.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. Another thing too is, it seems like certain fruits are in season at different times. Should you stick to the fruits that are in season, or are there more vitamins and minerals in those types of fruits, or is it just what you can find?
Well, I think seasonal fruits are going to be different from place to place. I think generally speaking, we encourage people to eat seasonally if it's possible. And I think that what you'll usually find is that if you're eating fruits that are in season, that they're going to be fresher because they usually haven't traveled as far. So you're getting things that are more local. So you may find that those fruits eaten during the season are more flavorful. On the other hand, if you live in parts of the country, let's say, where the weather's really cold and you don't have much fresh fruit, then you're probably going to eat things that either have been shipped and might be out of season, and that's fine. This is where frozen fruit is actually a really good option because frozen fruits are processed very, very quickly after they're picked. So if you're buying, say, just a bag of, frozen strawberries, those strawberries are picked, they're processed really quickly, they're frozen, and it preserves all of the nutrition. So again, if you're in an area of the country where you just don't get a lot of fresh produce in the wintertime when it's cold, then go ahead and use that.
Okay.
It's totally fine.
Okay, great. And also, another thing, I like to, cook with fruit a lot. Is that something that is an easy way to add into your diet? Is that a good way, to pair it with other, proteins and carbohydrates?
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's actually kind of a clever way to do it, because I don't know that people are often, shorthanded thinking of ways to integrate fruit, but there are lots of ways that you can use fruit other than just eating it out of hand or, say, putting it into a shake. So, for instance, citrus fruits are really delicious in a salad. Kiwi fruits are really good in a salad. Fresh apples are good in a salad. I don't know what you do when you're cooking with them, if you're talking about, heating them and cooking them, but you can use a lot of fruits in, say, sauces. People will do that kind of thing. So they're very versatile as well. Now, I think the thing that people also need to keep in mind, though, when we were talking about things like serving sizes, is really talking about the form that the fruit is in. In other words, fresh versus dried versus fruit juices. And this is one area where I think it is important to talk about calories, because generally speaking, the calories in a serving of fruit are not huge. So I want people to understand that when you're eating a serving of fruit in general, you're getting maybe 70 calories. It's not a lot.